Hello, folks, and welcome back to High Fever, the Indiana Fever basketball podcast, now on Threads. Just kidding. um, let's see, tonight's game, Indiana Fever 83, Minnesota Lynx 90. The Minnesota Lynx go to 8-9, and your Indiana Fever fall to 5-12. Let's go through game leaders real quickly. Leah Boston, 22 points. Nafisa Collier, 32 points. We'll talk about her performance. Nalissa Smith with 11 rebounds. And Collier with 8. And Wheeler with 7. Lindsay Allen, 6 assists. Yikes. Collier went off again. That happened in the first game of this season. But man, tough breaks. To begin the game, Christy Sides let Berger create in the first quarter, which was cool, I thought. I thought that was kind of like a sign of confidence, maybe. Maybe it was a sign of Berger that, like, hey, we're not going to... we might not cut you. Like, yeah, I know that this team is likes to cut and trade their picks, but maybe that was a show of confidence from Chrissy's sides, and Berger did pretty good. I'm always one to lament the Berger minutes, but she did good. The Lexi Hull fan club maybe stays afloat for one more game. Lexi had 8-1-1 in 23 minutes. Nothing I would call all-star level. But definitely in the fourth quarter, I think she kind of helped this team. So that was good to see. 23 minutes is more or less what I would expect Lexi Hall to play, but we'll talk about it. But I think as Caldwell and Cannon and some of the other bench players are starting to put more productive minutes together, I wouldn't be surprised if Lexi Hall's minutes stay in the low 20s, maybe high teens if it gets bad. 8-1-1 for your, de facto, I don't know, third option, hopefully. Before the season they thought she would be this 3-point specialist and 3-and-D player, but if I have to be honest, I don't think she's found her stride in that area just yet. Boston tried her best. This was Boston's best game as of very recently. She was definitely more aggressive, definitely more... she tried to take over, which I love to see. I think now that Egbo's gone, the secondary unit is a really small lineup, and so it was kind of up to Boston to set the tone as far as we're not going to let you bully us. She got doubled, and she would pass out of that, and we'll talk about the issues with coming out of that. But Boston, I will give her flowers. This was her best game as of late. She dropped 22 on an efficient night from her. She 8 of 9 field goals, so that's kind of the old Boston. That's the rookie of the year, all-star starter Boston that we want to see. Missed layups. There were so many that were just like give me layups, or tough ones but totally hittable that just didn't hit, and that's not gonna work in a tight game like this. I mean, this game was tight. It was a 7-point ultimately win, but this was tight all the way down the stretch. And fouls and missed layups are not gonna do it. There are so many fouls. I mean, it was really ridiculous. I think it was over 20 with 2 minutes left in the fourth when the broadcast mentioned that. And then they did some more ticky-tacks just to try and extend the game. A ridiculous amount, an amount that you cannot win if you're gonna do this. If you're gonna, they play this team tight, but you're not gonna win games if you're fouling this much. Let's get to some good stuff. The defense I thought was pretty good. They hung tight. There were moments, where the head goes down. and especially after some of those missed layups. But the defense was always, running back. Let's get back. Hey, we're gonna fight through screens, go around. I was impressed. Nalissa Smith did her best on Collier, but that's a tough assignment. Caldwell, I was impressed defensively. Vivian's also very impressed. I think this team is starting to kind of be better on defense, which was something I think if we're looking at the first half as a whole, the defense is certainly something that I'm going to, look back on this first half and say, okay, this could have absolutely been better, but this was a good game defensively, and I will give the team as a whole their flowers there because I think that they deserved it. This was a good defensive effort. Collier, Jesus, nobody can stop her. I mean, damn near fouled out Nalissa Smith. I mean, Jesus, she was just so dominant. And they let her shoot. That's the thing. 11 for 23. They let her go. Drive to the lane. A couple pick and rolls. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is really unstoppable and a really tough performance. That I don't know if the Fever weren't ready. I mean, they had to have been because, like I said, this happened in the game previous against the Lynx. So yeah, this was great performance, but a tough defensive performance for the Fever. On Collier specifically. Okay, big thing. Fouls was a big thing, and that foul number is going to come back to haunt them for sure. Some of the ticky-tack stuff, we could talk about the refs, we could talk about that, but most of them were good, and most of them were just kind of like scratch your head and like, good, did you really have to, slap it or get your hand or a couple of Lexi Hall fouls where she just wasn't set. Stuff like that. Okay. On the broadcast, I love the last game. Dawn Staley was out there, and she was talking about how in college, Aaliyah Boston was double team, triple team, so she's got no problem. I totally agree. Okay. When Aaliyah Boston in W gets doubled, she doesn't freak out. She doesn't, close up. What she does is either she fights through it or passes out. Now, understanding that and knowing that as a coach, right, as a team, okay, hey, if Aaliyah's getting doubled and it looks like she's about to pass out, let's start some cutting. Maybe let's start, have a play together. Okay, we can move, maybe clear out our forwards or try and get somebody free on the wings, something like that. In this game, Aaliyah Boston was being doubled, and she passed out of it. Perfect. Time to go. It seemed like every single time we could not score anything. A lot of times it was a Kelsey Mitchell drive that just didn't go anywhere. Or Nalissa Smith pull-up. That was short. Or, what I'm trying to say, I'm not, trying to be super critical of these players, but what I am saying is, I think as a team, what you need to recognize is, okay, if our best player, and I think by now Aaliyah has established herself to be the best player on the Fever. If our best player is doubled, let's have a plan of attack, because look, we're not going to hit every shot that, even if it's a wide open shot, we're not going to hit every shot, but let's have a plan. Okay, she's going to pass out. Cool. We're going to send somebody maybe by the free throw line and then crash the board. Just in case, right? Or free up somebody for the drive. Maybe. Just have kind of ideas. So that way when she passes out, it's not that Aaliyah gets doubled and then everybody is just standing around like, well, let's see if she passes to me. Like, no. Let's have some ideas, some plays here. And I think if that was a little bit better utilized in this game specifically, I think this game would have had a different outcome. Something to think about. I think we're gonna have this break here. They've got chances to figure some stuff out. 1, 2, and 3 games. 3 games before the break. We are 5-12. Look, it's the Mystics, the Wings, and the Liberty. It's not a stretch to say this team could be 5-15 at the break. It is not a stretch. So there needs to be some readjustment, I think, before these 3 games. What happens in these 3 games, I think, is going to dictate the rest of the season. That seems a little extreme, but I truly believe that. What happens in these next 3 games will dictate the remainder of the season, whether or not it's time to pack this thing up, start reducing Aaliyah's minutes, maybe get some folks cleared, maybe get some young talent in via trade. I don't know. But we have 3 games before the end of the season. 2 are at home. It's time to figure out what this team is going to be this season. Let's see. They go to the Mystics on Friday. I will see you then.